Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Thursday, July 6th, 2023. This is live stream 941. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then we'll normally take a first look at a game title, which is what we'll be doing tonight. That's right, I am going to be diving on in, taking a first look, and paging through Uncharted Journeys for 5e from our friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment. So we are going to be taking a peek at this in just a bit. So if you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, if you're watching live and you're tuning in because you want to see the page through of Uncharted Journeys, we do tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 40 minutes before we start that page through. So if you are hanging out watching live, put your feet up, relax, enjoy yourself. The weekend is almost upon us. Now, if you happen to be watching this 30 minutes or more after the show ends, there will be timestamps. So if you feel the need to jump ahead, jump past tabletop gaming news, you can. Those timestamps are located in the show notes or might be right there in the timeline of the video, depending on what you happen to be watching this on. Whatever device happens to be in your hands, or sitting on the table, or taking up space on the TV stand. I don't know. I don't know how you're watching. Anywho, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then lastly, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe you want to get a closer look at something in Uncharted Journeys, by all means, chime in and I will do my best to respond. So first out the gate tonight is Kathy Evans. Tasty Trekkie is joining us, as is Proger. How about trying to not say both the first and last name at the same time, Jeff? Roger Perdome is with us. Zoinks! Been one of those days, kids. One of those days. Actually, it's been fine. Been running around a lot, actually. But Viper Dave is with us. I haven't seen Viper Dave in a bit. And Viper Dave usually comes in when the show's ending. So I guess I better wrap this up. So, hey, everybody have a great weekend. Joking. Good to see you, Viper Dave. All right, let's jump on into the news because arriving in September from WizKids is Jukmuk, the winter market. Yes. And I assumed right off the bat that this was Swedish because of Mikberg. So Tessie Trekkie says, note to self, send Jeff canned kangaroo stew. Okie doke. Don't know if I would actually, well, I guess I would try it. I've tried a lot of different stuff in my day. Anyway, here's the skinny on Jokmok. The tranquil city of Jokmok is hosted a world famous market and folk festival every February for over 400 years. I don't think it was probably referred to as folk back then. Just a guess. Visitors from across the globe don their warmest winter gear to experience the beautiful crafts, delicious treats, and breathtaking scenery Jokmok has to offer. Move around the market from morning to night. In Jokmok, the winter market, you gather your family for a lovely trip around the folk festival. Each player gets two meeples representing their family members who will move around the board to gain experiences, food, souvenirs, and more. Two decks will be used to populate the market as the game progresses from the morning to evening. Claim trinkets and souvenirs as you visit vendor stalls. The game board is lined with vendor stalls, each with a card representing its wares. Each turn, players will move their family members, claim the item at their current space, and then refill the stalls. Will you focus on gathering charming mementos? Will you enjoy the sights and sounds of winter in northern Sweden? There are many paths to victory and fun in Jokmok, the winter market. Collect the most valuable sets by the game's end in order to win. 6 out of the 18 available sets of cards will be used during an individual game, each of which scores differently. Jokmok, the Winter Festival, offers tons of modular variety and interesting card combinations to explore. You may collect traditional Delcartalian horses, antiques, and hot dogs in one game, and bells, sparklers, and fika in the next. I think it's fika. I don't think it's FICA. FIKA. Don't know. Maybe it is FICA now that I think about it, because that actually rings a bell. Points are scored by collecting matching sets, majorities, valuable cards, and even matching up quilt patterns. Jokmok, the winter market, captures the old world charm you would expect to find at the festival. Cozy up with new friends, drink some hot chocolate, and have fun collecting sets of colorful cards in beautiful Sweden. Jokmok, the winter market, is for 1 to 5 players, ages 12 and up. Plays around 45 minutes and will carry an MSRP of $34.99. And I had to chuckle because when I first saw the image for this, and you see I'm showing some of the cards, one of the cards shows candy and it shows Swedish fish. And as soon as I saw that, because I didn't know anything about this game, I just kind of stumbled across it. And I saw the card with the Swedish fish, and I'm like, oh, this must take place in Sweden. Coco B is with us in chat saying, giant canned rat, as far as the canned kangaroo stew. You're making fun of those marsupials. Moving right along. Arriving next month from Board and Dice is Barcelona. And here's what I know. It's the mid 19th century. The city of Barcelona is the most densely populated city in all of Europe. Shortly after the old city walls were finally destroyed, Ifan Serra, who is now considered the inventor of urbanism, presented the plan for the creation of the Example, the expansion that Barcelona so desperately needed. Its construction began in 1860. In Barcelona, you'll take on the role of builders in 19th century, you guessed it, Barcelona, who are working on the new expansion to the city. Your main goal is to construct buildings to accommodate the citizens who want to leave the old city, and in the process, You'll also build streets, create tram lines, and build public services. You may even decide to explore modernisme, a new architectural and art style that has been gaining popularity among the rich. Barcelona has played over a variable number of rounds, interrupted by three scoring phases before a final scoring phase. Every round, each player takes a single turn consisting of two or more actions, a building phase, and then preparation for their next turn. At the end of the game, the player with the most points is the winner. Barcelona is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 60 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of approximately $59.99 when it hits stores next month in August. So, very interesting. And it's from Board and Dice. So I'm kind of curious just how crunchy the mechanics for this game are. Because Board and Dice, they tend to have some really gorgeous looking games, some really top notch production, but sometimes they're just a bit more complex than most of the players I know want to get involved with. But this looks really, really nice. I'm really curious about this. Now, this is supposed to be a Gen Con premiere. So I might be arranging an interview with Board and Dice once again this year. So maybe I'll get an opportunity to get a closer look at this, or possibly actually get a review copy as well. Because Board and Dice sends me stuff from time to time. Kevin R. Smith is with us. Tessie Trekkie points out, note to self, get Jeff some surströmming. I have no idea what that would be. Probably something horrible. It probably makes Vegemite taste delicious. Let's talk about some role-playing game news, because the 4th edition of the Basic Fantasy role-playing game is now available in print and PDF from author Chris Gonnerman and his team. I've got the scoop. The Basic Fantasy role-playing game is a rules-light game system modeled on the classic role-playing game rules of the early 1980s. Basic Fantasy RPG has been written largely from scratch to replicate the look, feel, and mechanics of the early RPG game systems. It's suitable for those who are fans of old school game mechanics. Basic Fantasy RPG is simple enough for children and perhaps second or third grade to play, yet still has enough depth for adults as well. Basic Fantasy is an open source game system supported by dedicated fans worldwide who have contributed hundreds of pages of rule supplements, adventure modules, and other useful and enjoyable game materials, as seen on the download page over at basicfantasy.org. There is tons of content out there for Basic Fantasy. The new 208-page PDF of the 4th edition of Basic Fantasy is available absolutely free. That's right. It is 100% free, always 100% free, as are all the other downloads for Basic Fantasy. Now, you can purchase hardcover edition at near cost. So it is $16.95 over on Amazon for the hardcover. Or if you want to grab the book in softcover, you can do so from Amazon for $8.35. Now, I reached out to Chris Gonnerman earlier today to see if he'd be interested in having some video coverage for this new edition, because I'm a big fan of Basic Fantasy. In fact, I had been bouncing around because remember I talked about Pathfinder 2nd edition as possibly being my what you should play video for this month, and I was like, yeah, I should probably hold off because of the remastered editions. So I am really considering doing it for Basic Fantasy, because if you've never checked out Basic Fantasy, you really do owe it to yourself, especially if you like the old school Renaissance. So anyway, I reached out to Chris, asked him if he wanted any video coverage, and I believe he is going to send me a copy of this new fourth edition. I don't know if it'll be soft cover or hardcover, but I will certainly welcome that. So Kevin says they're assuming Basic Fantasy 4E is D open game licensed. I gotta be honest, I don't think so. I think this is still open game license. But I also think this is Creative Commons, and it might even be Orc too. So I'm not positive. I would think I would think Chris Gonnerman's still including the OGL at the back of the book. I have not taken a peek at the new PDF, so don't know. Testy Trekkie says, Surströmming is the fermented Swedish fish you mentioned before. Now I was talking about the candy, Swedish fish candy. They're kind of like jelly beanish in consistency, not fermented. Yes. All righty then. On to the next news piece. Now out in hardcover by way of Exalted Funeral comes the Dragon Heresy introductory set from author Douglas Cole. Here's the lowdown. Venture forth under the eyes of the Azir. Put your skill, strength, and sacred honor to the test. Find horror in death. Arise to take your place among the Jarls of Torgengar. Go forth and stake your claim. Your saga starts here. In the Dragon Heresy introductory set, King Krail of Torrengar calls you to rid the border marches of Telenor of fell beasts, unwholesome fae, and the remnants of the ancient dragon empire. Alongside friends and rivals, carve out your legend and your jarldom in the wild lands north of civilization, seeking fortune and glory, worthy of Skald's retelling. You will find everything required to create your hero, play the game, and challenge fearsome foes in this single volume, which covers from levels 1 through 5. The Dragon Heresy introductory set is a fully playable game, covering character creation, adventuring, combat, gear, and challenges. In the book, you're going to find Norse-inspired culture, cosmology, and mythology, deadly and tactically interesting combat, as well as rules and options to bring Viking-style martial combat to the 5th edition of the world's most popular fantasy role-playing game, with both tactical and narrative tools. The 288-page hardcover is available right now over at Exalted Funeral for $65. We'll point out the Dragon Heresy introductory set is not available in PDF. It's only available as a physical book. Sarah D is saying hello. It just settled into the hotel room, 8 hours on the road, because, yes, Sarah D is on a road trip with Mr. Eddie T. Oh, very happy to hear that you made it into the hotel okay. And I'm actually honored that you decided to pop on in to catch the live show while you're off on a road trip. So thank you kindly. Kevin says Basic Fantasy is awesome. There's enough supplemental material to make the game as advanced as you want if you're not into the limited class selection in the core rules. For myself personally, I find Basic Fantasy to be a very solid alternative to like AD&D. And there are so many adventures for basic fantasy, which are kind of sort of homages, I guess we will say, to classic AD&D and basic expert D&D adventures. It's very, very cool. Sir D says, of course I'm here. Flaming Huron is with us. So we went from no chat moderators to 2 chat moderators. So welcome to you both. I think I've said hello to everybody who is hanging out in chat at the moment. So let's move on to the final news piece, because now available for Castles and Crusades is the Dragon's Crucible from Troll Lord Games. Here's the deets. The Dragon's Crucible brings you to the hard world of Inzay, a land forged by a dragon's rage, a land harsh and cruel, where life is short and brutal, and only the very strong or the very lucky survive. This digital box set contains 4 epic sandbox adventure settings, area maps, a world primer, and world map. The adventure begins with Death in the Trekland. Journey on a wild adventure that takes you from Vakund, the Tower of the Dog, to the dungeons of Zebagd, and beyond to Felsenheim and the Dogs of War. There you go. I'm mispronouncing all these fictional locales. It provides intense action, including a large-scale siege. The adventure continues in By Shadow of Night. Bergholt lies upon the southern shores of the Interzee. Crumbling walls and ancient cobbled streets of this backwater town do not welcome strangers. It includes over 20 encounter areas, a host of NPCs, adventure hooks, and a dungeon. In Beneath the Black Moon, you'll learn why unfurling the banner of the Black Moon is a dreadful time. It's followed by deeds of heinous nature, murder most foul and dark alleys, killings and slaughter abound, such that the night ends in dread and terror. But what sinister force brings the Black Moon? And then in Den of Inequity, journey to Ragglesborg, a town peopled with pirates, cutthroats, brigands, thieves, murderers, and worse. They come to trade in ill-gotten goods, revel in their criminal labors, or seek sanctuary. Seek sanctuary is the word, Jeff. That's sanctuary. With over 60 encounter areas, over 100 NPCs, and hundreds of adventure ideas, Den of Inequity is a true treasure trove. The Dungeon's Crucible requires heroes of high mind and daring spirit. Such heroes shall long linger in the halls of memory. Adventures that take you from 1st to 6th level are included in this digital set. You can play them sequentially or individually. This 340-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $49.99. So I would take a stab that this is probably going to be the next actual physical box set that Troll Lord Games will be releasing. So it'll probably have a single volume which collects these 4 adventures, as well as the map, just like the A series that we took a peek at, which I will have a review for that box set. I can't, off the top of my head, I do not recall the title to it. But I actually am about halfway through the book, reading through it. So kind of cool, very cool. And you may have noticed all of our role-playing game news tonight was all fantasy role-playing. That's unusual. Usually it's kind of a mix. A little bit of science fiction, a little maybe cyberpunk. Now it was all fantasy RPGs tonight. Alrighty then, that is it for tonight's news. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation, as did recently the Madman, who is not with us in chat. I think he's on vacation this week. If I remember correctly, last week was his anniversary. So he had just, I think it was on Thursday, he popped in, said hi to everybody in chat and said, "Oh, I gotta go. It's it's my anniversary." But the Madman stopped by paypal.me/thegaminggang and made a not so small donation. Then lastly, I am still in the midst of the summer game sale for 2023. There are still about 140 titles that are available, and that sale will run through the end of next week. And then that will be it until maybe before Christmas. I might roll another one out. So I know a lot of times people like to pick up some of the used games and give them as gifts, because if they're coming from me, they're in pristine shape. So, but yes, next week will be the last week for that. And if you are a war gamer, there's a lot of wargaming that's still left. So keep that in mind. Scott B. Smith is with us saying, Trad, I thought this stream started at 8:30 Eastern. Oh, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Pacific. That's how it works. You just missed the news. So, let's see. I did want to mention, this is not set in stone, but I am considering, hold your breath, have a seat. I am considering maybe wrapping up the live streams at episode 1000. And it's not because I don't enjoy doing this. I really like this a lot. It's more along the lines of, it's real hit or miss as far as views go. So, it'd be one thing if every show pulled in like 400 views eventually, what have you. 500, 1,000 would be like, that's shooting for the moon, right? But I don't know. It's like we've kind of plateaued. I have had people tell me that I release too much content. I don't know about that. I mean, you look at, there's a lot of outlets out there that release a lot of content. But then again, of course, they've got multiple correspondents. I don't really. So, Flaming Heron says too much? Question mark. Anyway, I don't know. Like I said, I'm bouncing it around. By all means, share your thoughts in the comment section of the video, not necessarily in chat. But I mean, 1,000 episodes, that's a lot of episodes. And it does kind of feel like if I were going to end doing the live show, that'd be a really solid number to end on, right? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's not like I'm, it's not set in stone. I mean, I'm just kind of kicking it around a little bit. I don't know. If we could get our viewership numbers up a little bit. Oh, and I will say that, especially when I do role playing game releases, numbers are usually pretty good. I mean, they're pretty decent. They're better than they had been in the past. So, but yeah. Flaming Heron says at the end of the day, it's up to you, Jeff. Geez, well, I guess you don't care. Geez, why don't you tell us what you really think, Flaming Heron? Like I said, bouncing it around. I will I'll have a better feel after Gen Con. I think part of it too is that it just goes like in waves as far as like, stuff showing up. I'll like for example, we got those two big boxes from GMT. Well, that's our Wednesdays for 2 months, right? Prior to that coming though, and remember I had mentioned that there was like a 24-hour period with a bunch of stuff that showed up. But prior to that, I was kind of like, wow, things are getting a little slim. It's like, so I'm gonna have to do a lot more live reviews, which, to be honest, I'm not super keen on because it's kind of like, okay, so I'm focusing on a review and watching chat and try not to screw up because it's live and you don't get to edit. Which, to be honest, most of my other videos I shoot, I really don't edit much. I just try to do it in one take. That's why you don't see those quick cuts, which I find extremely irritating. And I personally think helps lead to people having ADHD. So Fleming Heron says, who watches the gaming gang? I know. They're all watching whoever's streaming live right now from Board Game Geek. Or the Dice Tower's probably streaming something live now. That's something else I noticed that every time I turn, not Dice Tower, but I mean, every time I turn around, I'll see somebody on Twitter that's, I follow them or they follow me or whatever, or both. And I'll see them tweet something out where it's like, oh, streaming live tonight at 7 o'clock Central. It's like, yeah, of course you are. Can't do it at 8. God forbid you do it at 6. It's gotta be 7. Of course. Anyway, just floating that out there that it is a possibility. So it'll a lot of it'll depend on what goes down at Gen Con. So how in demand I am, I guess I'll say. So we'll see. We'll see what's happening. Less than 2 weeks, I will be in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con. Actually have a couple of appointments scheduled. I'm trying to actually set up an interview with, get ready for it. You don't have to sit down or take a deep breath or anything. Jamie Lee Curtis, because Titan Comics, who for years is a publisher that on Wednesdays we share, well, it's on Sundays actually, what comics are coming out from them. If they've got more than one issue that's arriving that week. And Jamie Lee Curtis wrote a screenplay that Blumhouse is making into a movie. And Titan Comics is doing a comic book, which I believe Jamie Lee Curtis has written. So I've already got something set up with Titan for their new Conan comic series. Might actually get something set up with Jamie Lee Curtis. That'd be kind of cool. I got to be very honest. I doubt that's going to happen, but it's been floated out there. So we'll see what happens with that. So, and then Funko, I'll be talking with Funko, probably Mondo and Loungefly. maybe Funko Games, because I guess Funko Games is going to be there. They weren't last year. But the reality is, Funko Games is usually an interview that I would do at Gen Con. So there's that. So Scott says, hey, that's cool. Hope that works out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of times at San Diego Comic-Con, and once again, this is a for a comic publisher. It's not for a television show or movie or whatever. But usually what they'll do, they'll either do press conference or they'll do round tables. Whereas the round table, you might have 6 reporters, journalists, whatever, from various outlets sitting at a table, and then there's an empty chair, and the talent will kind of go from table to table for like 10 minutes, and you hit him with questions and stuff like that. So there's a few round tables that are up on the channel. My favorite is actually for the Man in the High Castle. So that was a pretty one. Flaming Hero says Jeff does have that star power. I don't know about that. All right, so we are going to be taking a look at Uncharted Journeys for 5th edition D&D from Cubicle 7 Entertainment in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Barmaid,
Yes?
do you serve elephants?
Yes, we do.
Well, I'd like a bottle of, wait a minute, I have a slip of paper here. I'd like a bottle of Mellow Jacks with a real beer taste, premium brewed from 100% natural ingredients. Do you have that? Mellow, bright, clear, and light?
Yes, we do.
Jack's, the beer that once you've tried, you'll never again be completely satisfied with any other beer.
Yes, I know the beer you mean.
That's what it says on the slip. Well, that's what I like. I'd like some of that.
Well, all right. Come
It says here it's my favorite beer.
Oh, well, then I'll get it for you right away.
Thank you.
Something the matter?
No, I'm just so upset.
Something wrong? Can I help?
I have an incredibly bad memory. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Really?
I'm so ashamed.
Really?
It's supposed to be a characteristic of ours, never to forget anything.
Yes, among elephants. I heard of that.
I forget everything. I remember nothing. I have absolutely no memory. I absolutely remember nothing at all. Nothing. I have to write everything down. It's a maddening problem. I cannot remember anything.
Goodness, how long have you had this problem?
What problem?
Grandma, it's Little Red Riding Hood with your Wilkins coffee.
I'm the bad wolf and I just ate your grandma.
We'll have some Wilkins to wash her down.
He's coming. It's King Zor. King Zor, the fighting dinosaur. He's on a rampage. Aim your dinosaur gun. Quick, hit his tail. Fire! King Zor is fighting mad. He's backing up to put you off guard. He's turning toward you. Look out. He's firing missiles. Each time you hit his tail, King Zor, the dinosaur, fights back. He never gives up. Nothing stops King Zor. When he hits his tongue, he backs up and turns away, ready to fight again. There's never been a fighting dinosaur like King Zor. Get King Zor complete with 5 missiles, 5 darts, and a dinosaur gun. Be ready for King Zor. He's ready for you.
Toys don't get much lamer than King Zor. It's like, all right, I shot it. And it's like turning. Quick, run, it'll turn around in 5 minutes. I don't know. And the funny thing is, I had to grow up with games and toys like that. Oh, these kids nowadays, they got it made. Because back when I was a kid and I had to walk to school uphill both ways in the snow, even in May. Kevin says King's Sword never stops until he runs out of ammo or the batteries die. So Coco B says, gee, maybe the elephant should worry about his drinking. Could be related to his memory loss. Scott B. Smith says, wait, did dinosaurs have missiles? I'm not sure King Zor's a dinosaur. May not be. I don't know. All righty. Tonight, I am going to be diving on in and taking a first look at Uncharted Journeys from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. It's written by Emmett Byrne, Alex Cahill, Dominic McDowell, Josh, I should say, Corcoran, and Cody Folk. The 296-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $54.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Uncharted Journeys. I'm not positive if this book is out in stores yet. I think it might be, but I'm not positive. So, Flaming Heron says, my parents always use that line with me. All right, so before we jump on in, do want to mention the fine folks over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important that you know that. So let's take a look at the back here. It's not the destination, it's the journey. Undertake perilous journeys as your intrepid party blazes new trails across strange and uncharted lands. Strike out across unforgiving tundra and forge your path through deadly jungles as you battle to reach your destination. Experience travel in 5e as never before with thousands of possible encounters. Meet strange and unforgettable characters along the road and uncover lost and forgotten ruins. Expand your 5e experience with new character abilities. Your journey starts here. Uncharted Journeys provides a wealth of information, rules, and encounters to make travel a key part of your 5e adventures. And it goes on to talk about what's in this book, which we are going to actually get to take a peek at. Tessie Trekkie says, random fact. There's a high school in San Francisco where the kids who live on one street can walk uphill both ways to school, to do with the sports field being at the bottom of the slope. That's kind of wild. But it's not in the snow like when I was a kid. Yeah, I will never tell stories like that. Kevin says, so here's that exploration pillar we've been missing. So that is what this book is supposed to address. And that is the lack of excitement that most journeys have in 5e D&D. That the getting there is not half the fun. So got quite a few illustrators here. So I do want to make sure that we give them some credit. And I'm not going to read all their names because I would be butchering a whole bunch of them. Nero's Fiddle is with us in chat. Should mention we're not going to look at each and every page of Uncharted Journeys, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's in this book. It looks as if the vast majority of page space is devoted to encounters. So we're going to have roles, journey rules, people along the way, ancient ruins, and then encounters. So it gives us a breakdown of what each of these chapters will contain. A successful journey requires cooperation and understanding from all members of the party. To help with this, we introduce roles. This chapter also provides guidance on which class is suited to which role and new rules for recovering class abilities. Then we have the journey rules, which present the rules for journeys, obviously enough, which are broken down into 3 steps: set the route, prepare, and make the journey. It also includes new rules for resting while on the road, people along the way. The party will meet many varied folk on their journeys. So this provides guidance and rules for the game master, should say dungeon master, because this is for 5e, to create unique and interesting people for the party to meet. Then we got ancient ruins, all manner of ruins and lost tombs scattered throughout the land. This chapter contains expansive rules for creating strange and forgotten ruins for the party to explore. And then we wrap up with encounters, which represent the challenges the party must face and the people they meet along the way. And it is across 16 different biomes and regions. So, as we had discussed previously, my understanding was that some of the like travel mechanics from the One Ring, the first edition of the One Ring, which was at Cubicle 7 Entertainment, my understanding is some of those concepts were going to be utilized and built into Uncharted Journeys. And one of the first things I do notice is the roles, because in the One Ring, you would have the different characters would have different roles. And it looks as if we are going to build upon that right here. So we have the leader, outrider, quartermaster, and sentry. So the leader is a competent and wise party member who's capable of organizing and encouraging the team to persevere through challenges they otherwise could not surmount. The outrider scouts ahead of the group. They are responsible for finding safe routes and tracking threats to the party. Quartermaster is responsible for maintaining and finding food and supplies for the party. And then the sentry is the eyes and ears of the party, keeping watch over the group and their surroundings. They're often the first to spot danger. So these roles are very similar to the ones in the One Ring, but different titles. So the Outrider, if I remember correctly, I think in the One Ring, they were scouts. I think it was called a scout. So then we have inspirational resolve. This is for the leader. So we have group travel checks. Then we have the outrider talking about what kind of checks they'll have, the quartermaster. And then we have the sentry. And then we have each of the classes and what are they best suited as far as their roles. So we've got the barbarian, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. We get into our journey rules. Like the artwork so far. I will mention that paper stock, very nice. It's pretty thick. I know sometimes it sounds like I'm picking on Wizards of the Coast when I talk about how thin their paper stock is. And I kind of tend to compare the paper stock from all these role play game books to Wizards of the Coast D&D releases. I know, I guess it's probably not fair, but so this is nice and thick. Not as thick as we've seen some of the Free League publishing books, though, but it's pretty damn close. So this book should hold up to a lot of repeated use at the game table. So here we have got the preparation part of the journey rules, consulting the occult. There you go. Throw some bones. Then we have make the journey. In this stage, players deal with the actual travel and encounters that occur during the journey, as well as the events of Journey's End. Rushing or dragging. Though there is little a party can do to shorten the length of a journey, they can quicken their pace to cover ground more quickly, rushing toward their destination. Such haste may allow the party to lessen their time on the road and even outrun trouble, but it invites substantial risk and stress in the process. If the party chooses to rush their journey, decrease the number of encounters by one to a minimum of one, but all saving throws during the journey are made with disadvantage, and the journey difficulty increases by 5. So we're showing base encounters for distance of the journey, travel checks, different encounter types, the regions. Awarding XP for the journey. That's cool. That's just on top of what they might, run across with encounters and such. People along the way. While journeys across uncharted lands can be lonely, harrowing affairs, it is not unusual to encounter strangers along the way. From scholars of the alchemical arts in pursuit of rare ingredients to survivors of natural disasters or nefarious attacks in search of a new home, the open road contains stories large and small. This section is designed to provide game masters with the inspiration to design interesting encounters with new characters. It contains a variety of optional tables that you can use to generate memorable encounters with unique characters. This chapter also includes a number of sample travelers your party might encounter along the way. They're not from around here. Keep in mind that while the background table may suggest that the party has an equal chance of encountering each species, this may not be indicative of the region the party is traveling through or the actual demographics of your setting. Maybe Dragonborn don't even exist in your game. Feel free to amend the table to better fit your campaign, even changing the 1d12 column to a d100 column and separating each species by the percentage chance of encountering them. Likewise, a lot of fantasy settings have monocultures in their lore. The elves come from the Elven Kingdom, probably somewhere in the woods where it's perpetual twilight. The dwarves come from the, you guessed it, Dwarven Kingdom, somewhere dark and hot, and so on. If your campaign is set in a more egalitarian society where your species work together and most of the divisions are along cultural lines rather than species, you can replace species column in the table with major cities or countries from your own campaign. All right. So we get a background table here. So we've got the species, their age, their demeanor, and what is their purpose on a quest for an important figure, seeking inspiration, looking for a new home, just looking for some rest and relaxation, little R&R. And we get some sample encounters. Okay. Tomb robber. Location in a ruin. Background half orc, young adult, protective, on a quest for an important figure. Camping in the shadow of an impenetrable dwarven tomb, the party are awoken. Wouldn't it be the party is awoken? By the scraping of stone doors as a half orc exits the ruin laden with treasure. They are just as surprised to see the group and instantly become distrustful, holding their loot close to themselves and unwilling to share their secret of success. They do not stay long, telling the party only that they are on a mission from their patron and must return with a worthy haul or face punishment. It's actually kind of a cool encounter there. I can just imagine it where the player characters have tried to figure out any possible way to get into this tomb and have failed at every avenue and every approach. So now they're resting, and all of a sudden the doors open up and somebody comes walking out. loaded down with treasure. That's pretty funny. I like that. So Coco B is, I believe, trying to channel Mr. Rogers, talk about people in the neighborhood. Flaming Heron says the journey is more important than the destination. Not always when you're vacationing. So, what we got here? Ancient ruins. So cliche. This chapter assumes that your campaign is taking place in a traditional fantasy world where classic tropes hold true and major cultural and aesthetic differences occur between species. In such settings, each species usually has a particular style of architecture. Elves tend to build elegant structures that embrace nature, while dwarves build imposing structures from stone and metal. Your setting may be different. Dwarves, elves, and humans may all share cities, and aesthetic and cultural differences occur between countries and cities rather than species. If that's the case, feel free to adjust these tables. You knew that was coming. Who built it? The undead. Well, that's interesting. Humanoids, good. Humanoids, evil. Dark forces, giants, elves, celestials. And then it's going to give us a little breakdown of how old it is, and giving us a little information about each of these species based on, I guess it's the age of the ruins. So if it was Fey, it's 1d100 times 1d10. Yikes. What was it? Could have been archive, a crypt, foundry, a manor, a place of worship. Okay. I'm finding this pretty interesting so far. What does it look like now? Crumbling, hollow, it's restored. Well, that's interesting. If it's been restored, then that means someone's been occupying it. Well, and who would those new occupants be? Well, what is it now? Forgotten, occupied, infested. And now we have encounters, which I believe this is going to take up the rest of the book. When undertaking perilous journeys in your adventures, moments of tension and drama will arise. Knowledgeable sages appear and give wizened advice. Quarreling dwarves need to be separated before blades are drawn, and dangerous monsters prowl through the undergrowth just outside of view. These types of encounters are essential to creating memorable and exciting journeys. This chapter provides thousands of unique encounters to use in your game and provides a framework for how to run each encounter type. See page 21 for more on determining the encounter type for your journey. Additionally, each region type includes examples of the types of weather the party may need to contend with in the region, the flora and fauna often found there, local inhabitants the group might meet, points of interest they will see, and possible reasons for traveling through that region. The GM can use all these examples to create vivid descriptions of the lands the group is traveling through, immersing them in the world as they venture forth on their journey. So, talking about the different encounter types. So, we have a chance meeting, hidden reserves, a bump in the road, needing assistance, danger afoot, natural wonders, monster hunt, a place to rest, old memories, a dark place, deadly fight, and fateful encounters. Looks like a lot of D12 being rolled here. Of course, it says replacing results. So if you roll something that you don't feel is a good fit, to replace it with something else. Oh, well, it also says that in certain encounter types, a specific role can replace another character's result with their own, which allows another character to succeed where otherwise the other might have failed. Huh, that's interesting. So talking about a chance meeting, hidden reserves. So we're going to get a breakdown of these various different encounter types. A bump in the road. When traveling, it is inevitable that some natural or artificial obstacle blocks your way forward. A bump in the road encounter features a hurdle that the party must overcome, such as hazardous terrain, creatures protecting their lands, or other travelers who wish to interfere in the party's business. Damn those travelers. There is rarely a reward to such encounters, and they can often lead to negative consequences. The party is not up to the challenge. That's a cool looking spider there. Old memories. There are ancient civilizations scattered throughout the land, their stories lost to time. The remnants of these forgotten empires can still be found in the world. They are the crumbling ruins your party passes on their journey, or the secret magical relics found in hidden tombs. These old memories are an opportunity for the GM to share some of the history of the campaign world, give the party context for their endeavors, or it may remind them of all that has been lost to the sands of time. Nice. Okay, so now we are going to start getting into the encounter tables. So we've got coasts. So we've got different weather. We have different flora and fauna, local inhabitants, points of interest, possible journeys that are taking place. Oh, okay. Now I get this. Jack Hanks is with us. Good to see you, Jack. Thanks for stopping on by tonight. So, depending on the type of encounter, we'll have a table, right? So, we've got chance meeting, hidden reserves, so on and so forth, and 1d10 for these. So, it looks as if we have these different regions, different areas, and then the encounters based on the encounter type. So a place to rest for the coasts, just for the heck of it. A 10. She sells sushi on the seashore. Say that 5 times fast, right? A merfolk has set up a stall on the shore side, selling portions of fresh fish prepared in appetizing bite-sized displays. She invites the party to take a seat and enjoy the meals for a fair price. The arrangements of raw fish are delicious, but some of these fish might be poisonous to landlubbers. Dun, dun, dun. So we got the old memories, a dark place. Okay, then we have deserts. So we get some ideas about weather. Once again, flora, fauna, local inhabitants, points of interest, needing assistance. What do we got? A 7. Dry quicksand. A lizard folk and their dinosaur mount have sunken into a sand pit, their thrashing and wailing carried on the winds. Only the nimblest of adventurers can rescue them without sinking themselves, requiring a successful dexterity acrobatics check. So it looks like this might be the remainder of the book is going to be like this. Then we've got farmlands. Let's try a chance meeting. 8. Cottage industry. A kindly elf calls out to the party, lamenting the lack of fashionable headwear. I'm just imagining this. That the party's, traveling along and they run across this elf who's complaining about the lack of fashionable headwear. Jeez. She ushers them into her busy home where a team of workers craft a multitude of hats. Oh, I'm sorry. She's lamenting the party's lack. Oh, that's even better. Yes, lamenting the party's lack of fashionable headwear. I thought she was lamenting just lack of fashionable headwear in her area. So she has a team of workers crafting a multitude of hats. Speaking with each member of the party, she creates unique hats for each of them, banking on the free advertisement a group of adventurers would provide. That's pretty funny. Warren Rawlings is with us. Welcome aboard. Says, I just got Dangerous Destinations by Nord. This feels similar. I think the fact that this is a shorter book may be better. And I believe, I could be wrong, this might be a first time visit in chat for Warren, or it's just another brain fart on my end. What are you talking about? Warren's here every night, dummy. Okay, Natural Wonders. Now we are in forest. Let's see what we get. Another 8. The Tree Bridge. The party comes to a gorge within the forest, but 2 enormous trees from either side have grown into each other, forming an easily passable bridge. The beauty and care, especially to the tree's health, put into its design must be the result of ancient magic, and anyone who traverses the bridge feels calmness and reinvigoration. Cool. Quantum Phase Dragon is in chat tonight. Welcome back. Deadly Fight. Now, this is going to be Frontiers. A 4. Deadly Trophy. Frontier ranches have been plagued by wolf attacks. One old retired adventurer proudly proclaims that he killed the beast with his magical axe, only for the corpse to return to human form. Needless to say, the deceased werewolf lycanthropic family isn't pleased by this turn of events and vow to kill everyone in town. Yikes! So I have to admit, when I have run fantasy role-playing games where I have utilized random tables, I will tend to roll on the random tables ahead of time for like wandering monsters and things like that. So I know some people are like, that doesn't count. To me, it does, because it allows me to at least have a feel for things that I'm going to need to tackle in the adventure. And that way I make it feel less random to the players, even though it may very well have been something that was like, oh, hey, that's pretty interesting. All right, let's see. Old memories in haunted lands. Oh, it's a 2. Ozymandias. A rough sculpture of a hobgoblin warlord looks over a blasted landscape. Beneath her are words declaring the glory of the Hobgoblin Empire, the capital city upon which it stands, and the imminent divinity of their chief. No sign of the city remains. I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming. The gods having long cast down the warlord for her hubris. That's nice. Yes, as long as like the glory of the Hobgoblin Empire, I was like, oh yeah, that's gone. I will mention that it looks like our artwork ended. I don't think we've got artwork mixed in with these tables. Although we've got these cool borders, got these pretty nice borders for each of the regions. Like these are hellscapes. But as far as any like half page, quarter page, full page spreads, no. So here we got jungles. Let's try natural wonders. Or no, we'll do danger afoot. 8. Hunting the hunters. Crashing through the jungle comes a young albino giant ape. Wounded, it seeks to escape its pursuers, a cadre of hobgoblin hunters. Damn, there are a lot of hobgoblins in this setting. The hobgoblins will not countenance anyone interfering with their hunt and will not lose such a valuable pelt. Well, it looks like they'll be tasting our steel. Warren says, my encounter, adventurers new to area find a monument being maintained by 3 zombies chained to it. There's a plaque saying these zombies are carrying out a sentence for theft. Lands of the Fae. So, just curious, we'll take a look at some of these entries here. So, weather, thick, fluffy clouds and bright pinks, blues, and yellows move across the landscape, close enough to touch. From the ground rises mist that smells of different enticing scents, from strawberries to wood smoke. Some flora and fauna, a grove of trees with heavy hanging fruits that resemble hearts. They beat whenever anyone touches them. Grazing animals with feathers instead of fur, who climb nimbly and launch into the sky on huge wings. Local inhabitant. A hunter with a loyal blink dog tracks a deer through a thorny maze, only to release it. A storm giant sits atop a mountain, quietly contemplating the plains of the Fey lands beneath them. Points of interest. A tall crystal tower overgrown with choking thorns that could be climbed if one were careful. Atop a craggy mountain, a stone seat is occupied by a king who blinks in and out of reality. Possible journeys. A sprite has stolen a rare herb from a witch's garden, and she wants the root back to grow another. Following a trail of noble travelers who chased will-o-wisps into a treacherous bog. So, here's a question for those of you out there in chat. I had always heard them called will-o'-the-wisps, not will-o-wisps. Am I wrong? Because I could have swore it's will-o'-the-wisp. So we've got Lands of the Fae we're taking a peek at there. So it looks as if over 200 pages are devoted to the actual encounters here. So now we're in mountains. Let's take a look at a place to rest. A 10. Roof and roost. At the peaks of mountains, vegetation grows sparse, making the giant pile of uprooted conifers and animal bones obvious to distant observers. This ancient rock nest has many pockets of shelter inside it, but it's quite possible that its owner could return at any time. Then we have open waters. Uncharted Journeys has a strong focus on traveling across vast swaths of land by foot or mounted through varied terrain in distinct regions. If your party needs to cross a body of water, this chapter provides some alterations to roles and the journey rules to accommodate travel through seas, rivers, and beyond. So now we have captain, bosun, lookout, and quartermaster. And then we get some encounter tables. These are not by type, it's just by locale. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, they always heard it as will-o'-the-wisps. Yeah, but I've noticed most like bestiaries these days have will-o'-wisp. It's kind of like, I don't think that's right. Stormy seas, swamps, and marshlands. So what you're seeing here is we have one of each type for this. Coco B says, thought it was will-o'-the-wisp. Yeah, there you go. I think we're all pretty much coming to that some realization. I think we're in agreement here. So we've got underground. That's kind of interesting that we had the water. Well, I guess open waters. I would have thought maybe they would have kept that to the end because it was little bit different format than all the rest of the regions? I guess not. All right. So there is plenty here. And also the reality is you don't necessarily have to be sitting here rolling dice unless you need it to be completely random. Something else that I would do a lot of when I'm taking a look at random tables is take a look to see what sparks my interest or what I feel is certainly going to kind of spark the interest of my players and get, them going and utilize that. Now, there are times that I will roll randomly on something, but for the most part, a lot of times I'm picking and choosing. I'm cherry picking the more interesting stuff. Right, so it looks like we wrap up with Wild Magic Lands. Then we've got our Kickstarter backers. And then we have new character sheets. They're pretty nice. Pretty damn difficult to read for someone my age. Because that is pretty small type there. And we've got the new edition of Victoriana coming. So it's going to be for 5E. And then there's Broken Weave, which is also going to be built on 5E. So that was a very successful Kickstarter for Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Looks very interesting. The setting looks very interesting. And then we've got our open game license to wrap up. And that is what we find when we take a peek inside Uncharted Journeys from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Game Master's Hobby is popping on in. Says, hey, everybody, I'm late as usual. That's okay. You can always swing on back and check out the beginning of the video. W Forge is with us. Says it used to be 2 of the clock. Yes, I have heard that. Says, but a modern pronunciation changed it to 2 o'clock. Same with Will-O-Wisp. Oh, very possible. Very, very possible. All right, let's swing back over to the other camera. I will have a review of Uncharted Journeys in the very near future. Doesn't look like it'll take very long to get through. So, sweet. But a lot of encounters in here. So if you are looking to kind of boost your Dungeons and Dragons journeys in your adventures, I want to be taking a peek at Uncharted Journeys. It is available in hardcover for $54.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive, I'm just taking a look. I didn't see a code for PDF, but usually if you order from Cubicle 7 Entertainment or you go through like a brick and mortar store that has an affiliation, the PDFs are included. So at least that used to be the case. I'm not positive. Don't know. I would have to take a look on the Cubicle 7 Entertainment website to find out, but a lot of times it would look like that. So Kathy Evans says, looks like a good book. I assume it was book. So even though that wasn't the word, I'm pretty sure Kathy was saying it's a book. Interesting looking book. All righty then. So next week, I am going to be taking a look on a Tuesday. I'm going to unbox and take a peek at Dawn. And no, it is not my sister-in-law. It is I think it's a village building game. In fact, it says, okay, join with others to build a village. There you go. You can choose to be an ally and share in your victory, or be a scoundrel and hoard resources for your own personal glory. Choice is yours. For 2 to 5 players, Plays in 45 minutes, and it's for ages 14 and up. It is from Green Meadow Games. So we're going to take a look at this on Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll have another War Game Wednesday. We're going to take a look at The British Way. This is a coin title from GMT Games, and it has, I think it's got 4 individual small-scale coin games. Yes. So it's got Palatine. Yes, there's a coin game set in Palatine, Illinois. Maybe how about Palestine? I tell you all the time, it's only diet soda. It really is only diet soda. So we have Palestine, 1945 to 47, Malaya, 48 to 1960, Kenya, 52 to 56, and Cyprus, 55 to 59. And as I mentioned, it looks like they're smaller scale, so probably pretty easy to get on board with. Well, complexity they're saying is a 4. I do understand that you can play all of them together as a campaign, or you just play them separately. So that is going to be on Wednesday's show. So it'll be another War Game Wednesday. We'll be peeking at that. And then next Thursday, we'll be taking a look at another Cubicle 7 Entertainment release. It is Salzamund, City of Salt and Salt and Silver for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So that will be on Thursday's show. The week after that, of course, as I mentioned, I will be in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con as of Wednesday morning. I do not think I will be doing a show on Tuesday. Not positive. All depends. All depends on what's going on. So, because we are going to be flying on passes. So, depending on what the flight loads look like, might have to fly out Tuesday night. So, otherwise, if we are going to be flying out Wednesday morning, I have to go over to my brother's house, spend the night, so on and so forth. So, probably not. Probably not going to be a show, any shows, 2 weeks from now. So we'll see. We'll find out what happens. So Flaming Heron says all orders of this product include a PDF redeemable via DriveThruRPG from Cubicle 7's website. Yeah, I figured it hadn't changed, but sometimes it used to throw a code in, but I guess not. Now I guess they probably email you. Just like I'll have publishers, they email me and tell me, hey, your DriveThru account has XYZ books added to it. So Coco B said, it looks interesting. That's a pickup for me. Easy enough to convert to another fantasy system. Oh, yeah. Obviously. Super easy. Because really, we didn't find much in here that was like specific. Right? Even where it was like, oh, it's a dexterity acrobatics check. So just have a dexterity check for a different system. Oh, pretty easy, right? Or agility or whatever that they happen to use. All right. So that is it for tonight's show. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of the Pendragon starter set from Chaosium Inc., and my upcoming first look at Masters of Dune for Dune Adventures in the Imperium from Modifius Entertainment. Keep an eye This will be up this weekend. Might have a few other things as well. And once again, if you're watching, be sure to leave a comment. Do you want to see the dispatch continue past episode 1000? I don't know. Flaming Heron seems like he doesn't care. So maybe the rest of you don't either. Yeah, it's, might be the way it is. All right. Thank you very much if you were watching live. If you were watching live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you. Because not only were you keeping me company, you were also keeping each other company as I was mispronouncing words like Palestine. But of course, I know not everyone has an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Definitely appreciate you taking time out to watch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Everybody, enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. Once again, I'll be back on Tuesday, and we'll be taking a look at Dawn. So take care, everyone, and here's hoping you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.